Let's see. There we go. Hello, everybody. Good to see you again for our regular Saturday Christian Witnesses of Jah live discussion show. It's our first show back after about a month or so off from our regular program. So that happens once or twice a year on a month scale. And then every now and then, days or weekends will be adjusted or I'll take them off. But of course, we never take off. We praise Jah every day in every way that we can with our whole heart, soul, and mind. That's our primary belief. The second is that we treat our neighbors as ourselves, the people who are close to us, the people we know. We're not hypocrites like some people I'm going to show. And we put faith in the Messiah, right? The Christ. Not in a group, whether you want to call it an organization or a church. You know, it's so interesting to me. Of course, our subject today is going to be very interesting as well. Stick around. I think you'll appreciate our analysis of the historical accounts in the Bible having to deal with some pretty difficult subjects, you know, like killing, and not just older people. But we'll get into it in a moment. I give people a little bit of time to kind of see that we're live if they have a chance to join us. And then I kind of will give you some updates. And then I was just doing a moment ago, I'll also tell you about certain other things. So also, I want to show you guys something. I think we have time for it. I'm going to be doing a bunch of different videos on different subjects, and I'm going to be getting a lot more into the whole authority question. I've talked about it before, canonical authority, everything, right? We know the Catholics are. Protestants, the Trinitarian Protestants, have a much more difficult time with that subject, I believe, than you'll see we have. And for good reason. I see exactly why Protestants sometimes have difficulty with Catholics over church history and authority, right? Canonical authority, doctrinal authority, church authority. I see the problem so clearly. And I can't wait to talk more about it. So, as you know, we've been going through the early fathers. And in my coming apologetics blog, it's not that blog you see on the CWJah.org site. That's just the CWJah.org site news and update blog, right? It might have significant stuff. I don't mean just in a lessening way. I just mean it's not inclusive of my extensive analyses of issues and texts and things. Maybe a little of that, but it's going to be reserved really for this coming other blog, where I'm going to do a lot of things apologetically. It's going to be all about apologetics, in fact, defending biblical Christianity, right, against all these heretics and pagans, perverts and liars. Oh, I'm going to show you one in just a minute, and he's not getting away, no matter what he thinks. So, it's unbelievable, man. Either way, you're going to enjoy our show when we get to the main subject, and we'll give people a couple more minutes, but just to give you an idea, an update. So I'm going to be doing some videos about different subjects. Church, we got the early church writers series regarding Jesus and God and Holy Spirit, our theological issues. We've got the Athanasius series going. We have a multi-part series that has covered the 1st century through to the end of the 4th century and the treatment of Christians, the growth of Christians and the changing of Christians, or at least the masquerading as Christians designed to deceive people. And so we fully understand history as it relates to Christians. Now, of course, groups like Catholics and others are totally confused, deceived beyond belief, right? It's like incredible stuff. But, dragon is tough. We already know that. And so it's really about what your desire involves, right? It's hard for people. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy to go against people you've bonded with in ways. When doctrine gets in the way, what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do when you see that people you're joined with don't teach the truth? Okay, that's what they don't understand and or are missing. Yes, of course, I know they think they have the truth. That's not what I'm talking about. You'll see when I talk about it further. But all of these issues boil down to that one simple thing. And of course, as we know, Catholics assume all kinds of things that are not only not true, that is, they contradict what's explicitly taught in the Bible. One God the Father. They funded the most important thing, right? They get it wrong. Nice job. You follow a pagan emperor. See, that's what I was talking about. They like to talk about how certain early popes and others were tortured and forced to go in against the Trinity and other doctrines. Yet, you know what? Christians don't ever recant. No. You know what would have happened if he was a real Christian? He would have died confessing the truth. Liberius. Anyone who's a Christian and who is dedicated to the truth. We don't follow pagans just because they become emperor and are going to make things easier for us and change everything for us, while he's worshiping and honoring false gods with the authority of the first beast. So you guys have so much wrong. That's why nothing is right. You don't come to the light. You go to the darkness. What does the Bible say the light is? You guys are in darkness. And if that light in you is really darkness, well, who really knows how great that is? Let me show you a clip to show you just how great that darkness is. Of course, as you know, I'm talking about Sam. And we're going to get to our main subject in just a second, but I think this is important. Everybody, I mean, I feel so bad for some people, and that's why I'm going to show you this. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for anyone who has to deal with people who lie to them and who are pathetic and who are bullies and abuse you and who say the most ridiculously hypocritical things, right? We already know this about Sam, but, he's going to continue to lie and misrepresent things. And there's no escape, Sam. We are here to expose you and all of you, William, all Catholics, every one of you who want to try to defend your doctrine against the Bible. No, we don't recognize your authority. Gone. Okay, that's off the table. Prove it. Because I'm going to disprove it. I'm going to destroy this whole insanity that you boys have gaslit yourselves over regarding the Catholic Church. Are you out of your minds? That is so easy to see as a false church. You'd have to be blind. Just like you are. Just like you all are. Or you'd see you got Sam right there where you are, right? So talk about being blind and led by the blind and being in a pit. That's it. You guys are finished. I think it's pathetic. I think you guys are ridiculous. And I'm going to show it. Because you guys aren't just ridiculous. You're now coming up with excuses, just like you did when you burned people alive. Working for the dragon in olden times. Yeah, that's part of your church, right? That's your church. That's your history. That's your church. Okay. That's not the church. That's not the Christian church. You're not in a Christian church. You're in a pagan, dragon-dominated church. You've got idols all over your church. That doesn't sound like you listen to the Bible when it very clearly says, my little children, guard yourselves from idols. No one who follows the Master and his most beloved disciple would surround themselves with idols and then come up with an excuse to dislike people because we expose your misuse and veneration of Jesus' human mother. You've brought into it, with dragon theology in church, Jesus' mother. You perverts couldn't just use things like God the Father, Jesus the Holy Spirit. That wasn't enough, huh? Yeah. No, let's get his mother. Let's take Jesus' human mother and make her into a false object of veneration and pretend like, well, it's consistent with Sirach, illustration Luke 16. And when I get to Sam's misuse of Sirach on the Solomon, that's a separate video coming up. That's the next refutation of Ad Shimoni and his little cult and his bigger cult of Mary worshipers, of Mary abusers. You guys are the abusers, and I take offense to Sam Shamoun and William Albrecht daring to assume you have a relationship with Jesus' human mother because of your pagan, idol-filled church, that she would make her shudder the way you honor her and pray to her when you should be honoring and praying to her son, the one who is the way to the Father. Yeah, no, she would shudder at you pervert pagans, and you set her up as an object so that we have to come and say that's incorrect. No, it's glory to God the Father, all knees to Jesus. That's correct. Yeah, when you pray, you must pray this way. Our Father in the heavens, your name be sanctified, kingdom come, all of it. Just like he said, it must be all of it, not to anyone else, right? And when JP Uncut kept asking you, Sam, and asking you, Sam, is there an example in the New Testament, in the Bible, where this is done to a saint, where it's done to someone in the New Testament? You just couldn't do it, could you? And you kept accusing him of arguing from silence when all he wanted you was to show whether or not the New Testament was silent on this issue. Like maybe, Sam, if there was an example in what I'm going to show you, it would help him feel better about your pagan practice. You pathetic blasphemer. You and William. I like William. I think if we could get to William, then we could knock Sam out. Knock Sam out, that wouldn't necessarily do anything to William. I think William's more stable. He's just misled. You want to know someone who's deceived over Mary? It's William Albrecht. And I like the guy. It's nothing personal. I like Sam. It's a little more personal, and I'm going to show you why right now. And then we're going to get to our main subject. This is going to come to an end, right? This whole ridiculousness that these people think is legitimate. Oh, let me tell you something. When the Christian Witnesses of Jah fully enter into this discussion, you're going to understand how pathetic your church history is and how ridiculous your God-invalidating traditions are. God's word-invalidating traditions are, and how much you resemble the very apostate group that put the Messiah to death and resisted his early followers and joined in with the beast. Yeah, that's you guys. I'm going to show it. I'm going to prove it. It's so obvious. I still have to do it. Because the dragon's good at one thing, that's for sure. Lying. Now let me show you a couple other liars, especially Sam. I don't want to necessarily go after William as much here, although the problem with William is you're a nicer guy than Sam. Yeah, but you've so bound yourself to Mariology. You are so committed to an inappropriate veneration of Jesus' human mother. You then, as I've been saying, turn it into a weapon to dislike people who just follow the Bible, which I'm going to show you is the only way. I'm going to show you how that's provable apart from your pathetic pagan church And we're going to talk about what your pagan church did where it concerns the Bible. We're going to get rid of this mythology that somehow we owe you the Bible. Oh, you know, the way you guys lie about these things is despicable. Let me show you one example, in addition to all of those for which more is coming, right? The Trinity is finished. That's over. We've established it, done. No one believes the Bible teaches it. Even you guys, mostly you Catholics and others, you think you need the church, right? The church revealed that to you. That's right. Constantine, Dragon Emperor, he gave that to you. Why do you follow him? Because you're just like him. It's as simple as that. That's why we get stuff like this, right? That's why we get, no, I'm not saying I don't like this cartoon. It's kind of cool. It's him. But we know, right? These guys are here to enforce dragon theology, right? They're here to attack, right? King Richard stuff, right? Constantine. You use this sign, you kill and you conquer, and yeah, you create enemies, right? You attack the Jews, attack the Muslims, right? Then they'll come and attack us, and people will feel sorry for us, and they'll say, no, we'll go on to help the Trinitarians. No, dragons, oh, okay, yeah, no. And then so here we are, we're like, whoa, we're going to follow the Bible, okay? We're not going to follow this right here. No, I mean, I'm not. I'll watch it, and I'm going to show you what's after here, because it's pretty pathetic. You know what? I'll save your guys a little cartoon from this. I don't want to make it too personal. Again, I don't dislike this cartoon. It's kind of cool. But let's get to the real stuff. Why I'm upset, right? Not only this whole ridiculous abandonment of the Bible for your pagan church and idolatry and Mary veneration that then you use, William. Yes, you. And in this clip, right, in this video right here, Intercession of the Saints with JP Uncut joining, recent video, right? Yeah, it was incredible. I'm going to be doing several refutations of Sam in particular. I'm going to try to not deal directly with William. Maybe at some point, I think we can something there. But if he's not going to abandon this abuse of Mary, and if he's going to continue to attack people like me who have nothing but love for Jesus, human mother, the fact that you guys have now made yourselves champions of this pagan veneration of Mary to the extent that if we speak against it, we're bad. See, that's the dragon. That's what he does. He takes something good and he makes it bad. And he divides us over it. He gets you guys, whether it's the Trinity or that. Those are not explicitly taught in the Bible, okay? And you guys, instead of just saying, well, we believe it anyway. But if you don't, then fine, you follow exactly what the Bible says. No, it's nothing like that at all. You use it. Like Watchtower, 1914, 1918, all of it. It's speculative. It's false doctrine. It's you interpreting things that aren't explicitly stated and using them as if they're explicitly stated to condemn people. You are the persecutors. You are on the dragon's team. Okay? We're not on the dragon's team. I think that's obvious. We're following exactly what it teaches. We're not using political influence or money to try to abuse you like you've done to us. I find it interesting, too, how Catholics complain about being persecuted by Freemasonry and Freemasons and others. And while that may be true, you guys have done it to us for almost 2,000 years. And you got Sam out there going bananas right now. Okay? So no sympathy for you. Now, let me show you, though, before we get to our main show, which is going to be about text in the Bible, about God, and whether or not he's a murderer, specifically 1 Samuel 15. We're going to get to it right after this, right? It's going to go real quick, about another hour after this, and we'll partake. But I saw this video, and I'm going to be doing a response to a couple parts that Sam presents, right? He totally misled JP Uncut here, like deceived him openly. I felt so sorry for JP Uncut. I don't know him. He seems like a nice guy. I think one or two of my channel members have brought him up. I've never really watched him. And I watched this, and I just, he did the right thing. Either you're going to engage Sam, like I've told you guys, right? You don't engage Sam unless if you're not ready, don't do it. But so he kind of just folded, right? Sam is more excited. So that was the right move here, though, because he wasn't prepared to engage and destroy Sam like I would be. Trust me, there would be nothing like this in any way, ever. The second, Sam wouldn't even attempt to do it, but if he did it, I'd see it coming and I'd smash him before he even completed what he was trying to do, and it would become so unmanageable because we're dealing with Sam. They had restore Sam, or we're done, okay? You don't get even one. That's how you deal with Sam. He's either going to comply and follow your rules, or he's not involved, okay? He's a pervert. He's a Bible rapist, and he abused this person right here, JP Uncut. Yes, he did. He lied to him about Sirach and this whole prayer to Solomon, which is ridiculous. Sam probably doesn't even know it's a poetic book. That's not him praying to Solomon, you pervert. I'm going to deal with that whole thing, right? Sam doesn't get into any of it. He doesn't even know probably the history of the book of Sirach. And there's some good history there, actually. But see, the thing is, once I get in with these guys, we're going to find out how much text they know. And we're going to find out what they really think about it comparatively to the Bible and these other books, and then we'll go from there, okay? But I find it just so hypocritical. Let me play this part, okay? One part, and then we're going to move on. Let me play this for you. This is Sam being so unbelievably hypocritical. This is going to be part of my part 3, refuting him on praying to Mary. I'll have it ready in a couple days. So this is only part of it, though. I'm not going to play the whole section where I'm going to destroy him on that. But this part right here will be part of it. And I'll have more to say in the coming video. But let me just show you what a hypocrite this Bible rapist and pervert is. No mercy for these wicked people. They're perverts. They literally believe, like Watchtower, if you're not part of this pagan, pathetic church that has killed more people than you can imagine, probably, right? I mean, I can't even imagine more than I can't imagine that much, right? I haven't seen that much. They've killed way more than that. These people have destroyed not only people physically, but spiritually. They have ruined New Testament Christology and church structure and authority and displaced it with their own dragon theology. A pagan emperor who redefined the metaphysic of the Bible, of the God of the Bible, and all these pathetic, cowardly pagans didn't have the courage to say, no, that's not in our text. That's not in the text from the apostles. We hand down their traditions, their beliefs. No, we don't hand down beliefs by a pagan emperor. No, you guys are cowards. Just like you are today. And that's why you lie to people today about what you should be condemning people over. Let me play a part here, right? Let me play this part right here. This is Sam Shamoon acting like a complete and total hypocrite and explaining to you why he gets so upset when people take issue with their Mariology, when he himself does the very thing he gives as a basis for his pathetic apology on behalf of Mariology.
We can come to the table and agree on a whole lot more than we disagree.
That's William Albrecht. Let's focus on Sam. He's coming up.
And I want to say this publicly. JP, forgive me, brother, for...
Likewise, brother.
No, I just, like I said, one thing about me, brother, you don't need to apologize. When someone comes and challenges me, I go into fight mode. I don't know what it is, but I want to apologize. Forgive me. God bless.
It's understandable, Sam, if someone's coming to you and you don't know who they are or where they're coming from, how you might be defensive. I have that a lot too. From what I understand, though, you already know JP Uncut. And I watched how he came to you, and it didn't seem very unusual at all. So unless I'm wrong and you don't know him extensively, I haven't really watched much with him, like I said. I've seen the name, but so I don't know how much. If you know him sufficiently, though, there is no excuse for your pathetic non-Christian behavior. Apology rejected.
You and your mother. I didn't mean to insult your mother. I just wanted to give you a taste of what it's.
You see that? He insulted his mother too. I'll get to the clips from the discussion before, but let me just play it again, okay? But let me make the point though. I'm gonna let it play on and not stop it until I'm at the point where I want to comment on it. But I need you to listen real carefully though, okay? Because this is the most important part.
You and your mother. I
They're utilizing different language. And I think that at the end of the day, we can come to the table and agree on a whole lot more than we disagree on.
And I want to say this publicly. JP, forgive me, brother, for
likewise, brother.
No, I just, like I said, one thing about me, brother, you don't need to apologize. When someone comes and challenges me, I go into fight mode. I don't know what it is, but I want to apologize. Forgive me. God bless you and your mother. I didn't mean to insult your mother. I just wanted to give you a taste of what it's like when someone I take is insulting Mary. No justification for it, because I know you don't mean to insult Mary because you don't think the Bible teaches it. But see, to me, because I'm now convinced, when someone criticizes Mary, I try to give them a taste of my own medicine by showing them what it's like to disrespect someone's mother. No justification for it.
Did you hear that? It was very clear. And you can listen to it again. It's at minute 59, basically, through second 23. You just heard him. He insulted JP Uncut's mother earlier for really no reason at all, right? Just because he was asking a question. You can listen to yourself and make your own decision. Either way. Then Sam says he takes it really personal when someone insults Mary. So that's why he attacks people's mothers. Well, you pervert and Bible rapist and butcher. Nobody is insulting Mary here but you and William and your pagan Catholic Church. You're insulting her by misrepresenting her as something she is not, and by making idol after idol after idol after idol after idol of her. And you're told to guard yourselves from idols, yet you make it of Jesus' own human mother. You perverts, you're pagans, you're being rebuked. All of you, you are dragon worshipers, and it's pathetic. It's embarrassing. Your history, your church is ridiculous and embarrassing. You understand? You lie about the Bible. You lie about Jesus. You lie about God the Father. You lie about the Holy Spirit. You lie about the resurrection. You lie about marriage, adultery, fornication, all the related stuff. You can't even figure that stuff out among yourselves. And you lie about Jesus' human mother. And then you get all hot and bothered when people come to you and say, hey, you pagans. Hey, you false God worshipers who follow a pagan emperor, who are too cowardly. Your whole history, your whole church history and lineage is of cowards and perverts and pagans. Cowards, CPP, right? Okay. So it's real simple, everybody. These are liars, not necessarily JP. I don't think he was ready for this. I think William is just so far gone with Mary. He can't. See all these idols, everybody, all the iconography, right? All the music, all this stuff they use to embed this false doctrine into their emotional psyche, right? It's not just showing them the truth in the Bible. Like, hey, don't say the same things over and over again in your prayers. Did you read that verse? Or don't make long-winded prayers in public. How about that verse? You need an interpreter for that verse, Sam and William? Do we need the Pope for that? I guess we do, because you guys keep doing what it says not to do. Maybe you're just stupid. Maybe you guys can't read the text and follow what it says, one God the Father. Yeah, maybe that's what's actually happening. Maybe you guys are cowards today, just like you were cowards in Constantine's day and Liberius's day, when instead of dying for the sake of the truth, you sat right there and you accepted and you empowered lie after lie after lie, like you do today. I guess now we know why. You guys are cowards. It's that simple. You cannot stand up against tradition. Just like the Jews of Jesus' day. It's going to be in part of my next video, several videos on this subject in a series, because you guys are crazy. You guys are absolutely insane. If you can't see the obvious comparisons between the Catholic Church, the Eastern Church, even you Protestant churches, but mostly that first church, and the Jews of Jesus' day, you're blind. So many things right there in front of you and you're blind, right? You've just gaslit your own minds. And then you get mad at people. Sam's sitting here getting mad at people's mothers. Is that what you need, to get mad at people's mothers, you pervert? You little pagan angel worshiping pervert. It's unbelievable how many people have fallen for your ridiculousness. And William, you are a coward for not openly rebuking Sam when he attacks people's mothers. There's no justification for that. No one is attacking Jesus' mother but you. You're putting her up as a target. The Bible doesn't say use her as a target. You're using her as a target because you're enforcing your views. And we're just saying, look, where are you getting those views? No, we're not told or shown an example of why we're supposed to do that. We're supposed to be praying to the Father through the Son, bending to the Son, glorifying the Father. Where's Mary in that? What are you doing? And then you're getting mad at other people and their mothers. You're a liar, Sam. You don't care about this stuff at all. You never did. And the idea that you just all of a sudden fell in love with Mary after allegedly knowing about her all that time? Well, which is it? Were you completely blind and pagan and demonic as a Protestant? Did you have nothing in you at all? You figured out the Trinity, but you couldn't figure out Mary? Nothing? All that time, huh? Sam, you know what you're doing. You don't have anywhere near the authority. Where's your authority? The church? The dragon? No, we reject it. It's been rejected. You don't have authority. You know what you have here, Sam? Nothing. Because you can't even interpret the Bible correctly. That's why you couldn't give JP one example in the New Testament of a Christian praying to a saint or that teaching explicitly. It might have helped him. You know that? You didn't have to keep attacking him like a pervert. But you're so insecure. Well, you kind of did have to, didn't you? Don't worry, you little angel worshiping pervert. We're going to get back to you. If you think you can just run away and I'm not going to absolutely destroy you like I said I would, you're crazy. You're a pagan, you're a pervert, and you're promoting false doctrine for your own gain and for a pagan church. And you're attacking people and their mothers. So there's nowhere to run. You only go down from here. Now, let's give glory to the God of the Bible after destroying Sam's hypocrisy once again, exposing the Catholic Church, Sam Shamoon, and William Albrecht's abuse of Mary, the human mother of the Messiah, just so they can feel better about their pagan church and pathetic practices that aren't rooted in explicit biblical teaching. They're not even from the text that you guys tried to use for your teaching. More on that soon, Sam. Try not to get too involved in these non-biblical books, Sam. You can barely handle the Bible, okay? And it's enjoyable to watch, but pathetic to listen to, because I realize a lot of people are being misled. But don't worry. I'll help them and hopefully you out. So let's get to our main subject, right? We got a pervert here, everybody. We had to take him out. Gonzo, Sam. Over and out. So that takes care of that part. Let me just bring up our main material. Again, we won't have like a ton, probably another hour from here. But I wanted to get to that because I have more coming up, and I'm watching these things a little bit more and more because I think it's ridiculous. And we're going to be establishing our position more and more. If these people think in any way that they have some kind of untouchable doctrine and these false doctrines, they're crazy. I'm going to be presenting a series on what we use to determine the books of the Bible and the right? They have that whole subject wrong to be, in so many ways. But I haven't really I've done like one or two parts of a video on it. Now I'm going to really get into it, though, because I have the manuscript data. I actually know what these writings are based on and what most of them contain, right? And we're going through all of them. So my apologetics blog, I think I was talking about this initially, right? It's what got into the whole exposing Sam's hypocrisy, attacks people's mothers because we're allegedly attacking Mary. No, you pervert. We're teaching the truth about Mary, and you're lying about her, which sets her up as an object for us to have to try to manage because you're using her as a shield like you pagan cowards often do. You put the cross up there, too, on your shields that get struck by swords and all that blood on it. Yeah, you guys like that, huh? You guys like abusing things that are holy. That's why you make those idols, right? Those people that are holy. Yeah, you do the very thing we're told not to do or to guard ourselves from doing. That's you. That's your church. That's your history. It's just not in the Bible. The Bible contradicts you, exposes you, proves you have nothing to do with the Bible. You're perverts. You're pagans. Your whole church and authority is absurd in light of the clear teachings of the Bible. That's why you kept it away from people for so long. That's your fruit. That's your history. And a lot of other perverted pagan stuff. And we're going to get into all of it. So you want to talk pumped up and what's coming. You guys can do what you want. You can ignore me. You can do it's over. Okay, what we did with the Trinity, we're going to do with your church, your history, your traditions that invalidate the Word of God. Right, the Word of God. We'll talk about that more in the upcoming videos. These are perverts, everybody. They're liars and pagans. They may be nice. We try to get along with them. They attack and persecute us, though, okay? You're not going to get any sympathy from Sam or William Albrecht. Okay, if they see you out and they have the opportunity to warn people about you not being a Trinitarian, not being a Mary worshiper, not being an angel worshiper, not listening to the Pope, yeah, they're gonna not allow you to get anything, okay? That's how they are. That's how they all are. That's just not how we are. So we have to be more careful, okay? These are dragon people, and we have to manage them, or they'll manage us, right? They're liars and pagans, but they have more to gain, right? This is about their money. It's about their power. It's about their structure. All the stuff that's going to be ripped right out from them as we bring the truth of God's word as a light that blinds them because they're so used to looking at the darkness, right? It's pathetic. Their paganism has suffocated their ability to breathe spiritually, right? It's over. I mean, you heard what Sam said, right? He gets upset when people attack Mary because they don't venerate her and say he shouldn't or do the things the Bible doesn't teach us to do. And that aren't what we are told to do, you pervert. So why don't you just do what it says to do? Who gave you the authority to go beyond what it says? The dragon? Yeah, of course. It's always him when it's beyond what it says or beyond your yes and your no. Anything more? No. Because if it is, it's from the dragon, right? That's why we listen to the Bible, Sam. That's why we hand over the teachings of the apostles. It doesn't say you keep handing over different forms of their teachings or different interpretations of their teachings all the way throughout history until you get this pagan teaching. No, it's the same teaching. It's one God the Father. Is that what you're teaching? No, you're perverts and pagans. Speaking of teaching, yeah, you guys can tell I've been saving it up, huh? I had some stuff to do, of course. But these people are nuts. They don't have anything. And if the Watchtower had anything, in addition to what the Bible already contains, we could have knocked these guys out a long time ago. Unfortunately, dragon got to them too. That's what he do. He goes in, he sows, right? Weeds among the wheat. Hard to see sometimes. We're looking for wheat. We sometimes got to wait for the weeds to drop out. Well, we're not waiting for Sam to drop out. He's already fallen. So we can go ahead and put him in the fire. We've wiped him out anyway. We've taken them all out. The Trinity's their main doctrine. Without that, they're out. It's finished. That's the whole dragon glue holding them together, right? So they're already done. They're just trying to lie to as many people as I've been hearing from Trinitarians, right? We heard from GL, a couple of his last live show. I get emails, messages, and it's happening more and more. I'm seeing more. That's why I'm going to go after them more and more. Because they're liars. And they're using people like Sam, right? And William can't rebuke Sam. He can't do it. Right? We saw them. He couldn't even get Sam back in the ring after he got knocked out, right? Couldn't even get him to watch a video. And you guys represent the true church? Are you crazy? That's pathetic. That proves you're not the true church. That you don't have the Holy Spirit. That's why you can never show its fruit, Sam. That's why you can barely hold on when someone asks you about your Mary worship. Your inappropriate veneration of her that you then, with William, use as a club against true Christians. See, that's the dragon. Just like you use the Trinity. Other things, right? He divided up Christianity. First, he was using the first piece. So whole parts, multi-part seer sign. We know about Revelation 11 through 13. Very clear. This is what they're doing. They're just doing the same things the dragon started doing after he put on two horns like a lamb. Started getting people to attack the Christians over false doctrine, just like with the Jews. That's why we're going to show by comparison. It's the same person influencing both of them, the dragon. All right, so let's get to our main subject. Let me say hi to everyone, though. I was pumped up. We'll get to it. We're going to partake too. All right, we're not going to let these people establish these false doctrines. It's over. Hey, game is over, everybody. Watchtower, game is over. There's no 1914. There's no 1919. There's no appointment. No, it's over. Yes, you still have one God the Father. Yes, you still have firstborn of all creation. Yes, you still have the golden rule. Isn't that great? It should be, because you don't need them anymore. You don't need those prophecies. You never did. So now we know. We can focus on the clear teachings of the text, the most important ones that Jesus said would bring us life and resist these pagans. Bring God's name to the fore. Bring God's identity to the fore. The real nature of his son to the fore. The fact that these are liars and pagans to the fore. The fact that they're hypocrites. That they'll set up a false belief about Mary. That if you don't agree with her, you criticize them because it's not taught explicitly in the accepted authorities, the Bible. Well, then they're going to attack your mother. Right? Does that sound like the true church to you? No, it sounds like the dragon church. And you had William Albrecht right there many times, just not in that one video, letting Sam go berserk, right? Acting like a beast, not showing any fruit, right? William, you got a little fruit, but you also tolerate the beast and all this pathetic teaching, and you use it, right? See, William, you're a very emotional guy. You can be emotional. That's why you're able to manage Sam a little bit better. The fact is, though, you also then become overly angry with people who reject your false doctrine. Like Sam, but it's almost even worse because you're a nicer guy, right? It hurts more. With Sam, it's like, he's gone. So we kind of like have accepted it, you know? All right, let's see. Anyway, everybody, this stuff is, we're going to make this clear. If you think in any way we're going to let these perverts try to confuse people where we can help it, no way. We're going to come after all of you and all of your false doctrine. And if you don't know it by now, then you're stupid, okay? We've been doing it pretty consistently, and it's going to get even more, Jah willing. Sonia Carbajal, thank you for joining us tonight. So good to see you. Number one in the group chat tonight. Sandy, Cali girl Sandy's with us. Second in line tonight. Good to see you. It's not to make it the part, but it's nice to see, you know, who's first, who's second. Tarantula Clan. He's in third. That's not necessarily, you know, it's not like a medal participant, Olympics, all that stuff, right? The pervert ceremony, we all saw that. We'll get into that another time maybe, but it's so obvious. You know, they're perved out. Gone. Tarantula Clan, this is going to be great, right? And that was like the third comment. So I think I fulfilled that prophecy, Tarantula Clan. Hopefully. Cody Waters, hello, Greg. Good to see you. Mr. Chessmaster, I'm a former witness. Don't believe anymore, but hey, man, you were always a real one. Hope you're doing good, Greg. Thank you, Mr. Chessmaster. You're always welcome here. You don't have to agree with us on anything or everything, but we hope you at least benefit from what we talk about and are civil enough to ask the right questions in the right way, if you have them. And again, I'm in my kind of initial discussion, but I had a lot to say, right? The pervert Sam has been lying and acting hypocritical, abusing people who come to him with legitimate questions like, can you give me an example? And Sam tries to use argument from silence fallacy, which again isn't really appropriate there because he's not arguing that this proves anything. He's just asking you, hey, pervert, since you guys are not doing what the Bible says, can you show me an example where someone else in the Bible does something like this? And then maybe it'll make me feel better. Otherwise, I have to think that you're doing something that's not taught in the Bible, and it's not exactly what we're taught explicitly, like pray to the Father through the Son. Yeah. So we're taught explicitly you must pray this way. And whether or not there's an example of someone praying to a saint, again, it's not necessarily the antidote to your false doctrine because Jesus modeled prayers. You must pray this way, you pervert. Sam thinks talking to people is a prayer also. I'm going to get into that. He thinks in Isaiah 6, he's gone. I have a lot coming on prayer with him, multiple videos now. He thinks if you're just talking to God, you're praying to him. So gone. He doesn't understand what a prayer is, everybody. He doesn't. We talked about this in my one video before. It was too low, and then I deleted it. But I'm going to redo it. Total destruction. He doesn't understand it, right? And so it's the blind leading the blind. It doesn't matter if you're the Catholic Church and you have all the history and books and all the money and power. No, they don't understand what a prayer is. So we're supposed to join you as the true church and start praying to Mary to pray for us and hate people's mothers if they try to tell us that's wrong. Yeah. No. Sorry. Not sorry. No. You guys are crazy. Czar, good to see you. Pankhead. On fire. Sunship Defender. Pumped up. He said he saw my Jude video on Assumption of Moses. That was a while ago. It wasn't like an extensive video, but I'm glad you saw it. I made that clip because, I was trying to fill out the channel and it was a subject that doesn't usually come up. And I had talked about it in that one video. But if I were to talk about it more extensively today, I think I have in other videos. Maybe I should search first. I think I have talked about it before. Like when we did the Michael the Archangel. Oh, I didn't really get into that, the background to the text though, right? It wasn't an issue with Sam. Anyway, you want to know if I'll talk about John quoting Tobit? We'll get to for additional quotations of other sources in the Bible, no problem. There's nothing wrong with quoting other sources, right? I mean, we have Paul quoting non-biblical poets, right? So, again, this all goes back to authority. And it's going to be my big part of my upcoming series. But what's the real issue here, everybody? What is it that determines whether or not it's appropriate to quote something? Whether it's true, right? Is it true? Okay, well, that doesn't make the whole thing true. That's a fallacy. But it doesn't make it not true either. It's just the part that the accepted authorities quoting would therefore have to be sanctioned, ratified, if you will, by the quoter that is the accepted authority. So if Jesus quotes something, he's saying this is true, right? So we accept that. And Paul says, quote something, it's not in the Bible, but it's true. Well, we accept it as true. We don't necessarily make it's part of the Bible by being quoted as true. So, so it gets kind of a slight ratification there. That still doesn't ratify the whole text. Only an evaluation of the whole text will do that, right? Or some statement that would say the whole, that in the quote or reference by a figure like Jesus or Paul would ratify the whole document. Absent that, though, the only thing anyone can do properly, no matter what, okay, whether you're Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, any of these Protestant groups or us, only thing anyone can do for any of these texts is evaluate their historicity, textual history, and verification for outside authorities that corroborate what they say or comment on in comparison to every other text that relates to that same subject. That's it. That's the only thing anyone can do and is doing, I guarantee you. And if they're not, there's no reason to accept them. They're not a divine authority appointed to tell you this text is inspired and this text is inspired. You can only tell us what you believe is inspired based on its own merit, its own objective validation, based on what I said earlier. What it contains based on its, the likelihood that it's original to its source, so its textual history, its historicity, the people in it, the document, its transmission, and then the subject material references inside the text to outside events and people that relate to it, right? Like, so different archaeological findings related to, for example, Pontius Pilate, that helps corroborate accounts that mention him in similar ways and at similar times. So that's all anyone has ever done and will ever do. The Bible we were never told someone would come along and divinely tell us only these books were divinely inspired. That has never happened. It was never said to happen. We accept the Word of God based on what it says, especially if it claims to be the Word of God, based on whether or not it can be falsified in light of all the things I mentioned. So all of these texts would only be in the possession of God's people historically, right? By the time we get through to Jesus and then the New Testament, we have inspired apostles. We have accounts of those apostles and people in those accounts with those apostles handing on those apostles' teachings about the texts. There's no text, no example, and nothing anyone can use from the Bible, any book, even, I would even probably say the Eastern Orthodox and Catholic canons, that says we're to accept later contradictions of what is taught in the best available texts that relate to the Jewish Christian God. Nothing. So you can save all your history and patheticness and councils and authority and successors and all this ridiculous, false doctrine. If that's all true, then you should be able to establish everything I just said. And when was the first time that was ever done? No, we're all using the best available text, and that's it. right? Things that are actually true based on all available evidence and have a reliable text history in comparison to any other text that's accepted as history. And we do. So I don't need the Catholic Church. You know what I needed them to do? I needed them to make more of these texts available to us. That's what I really needed you guys to do. And you failed. You failed pathetically. You gave us copies of copies that have been redacted in many ways, but we don't even need all of that. Like I've said before, I think we have a lot more than we actually need because we only need 3. And Jesus said, that'll give you life. Right? So why do you need more than that? Yeah, it's nice to have. You guys did a terrible job. Thanks for nothing. But we'll take what we have, but not give you credit because you did such a poor job. You clearly weren't trying the way you lie to other people and claim you represent Jesus of the Bible and the apostolic teachings of his followers, his first followers. You're insane, all of you. And that's where you'll remain. Unless you change. Betsy, good to see you, and George Lopez. What else we got here? Laylo, nice to see you. Johanne Robert, very good. You guys are pumped up. We'll definitely get to other non-biblical texts. I'm not against Sonship Defender. I'm not against other books being, inspired or reliable like the books of the Bible. But I don't see the value at this point in, like, for example, I've given the example before, First Clement. I don't see why we wouldn't include that in the same way as some of Paul's letters. He's mentioned in the Bible. He was clearly with those exercising gifts in ways where he spoke about directly and wrote about in a text that's preserved in a way that is reliable and doesn't contradict anything that we have from those he was with. But I don't, what am I going to do? Campaign for enlarging the Bible? I guess, right? The more the better in some ways. But I don't even think we need what we have. So I'm not against expanding the canon. I don't think the canon is a biblical teaching, right? I think truth. I think the canon for Christians is truth related to God, Jesus, and their teachings, and their directly inspired followers and prophets. That's it. That's your determining factor. Is it true? Because how else are you going to convince other people? What's convincing you, right? If it's not that you can at least to some extent verify that it's true, we don't have to know, right? We don't know if we're going to live when we go outside. People die every day, but we believe it anyway, and so we kind of know. We have enough reasons to believe. Do you have that? Do you have reasons enough to make a decision like that you're going to stake your life on this book, whether it's First Clement or Tobit, like you do on John or Matthew? I'd stake my life on the teachings of John or Matthew. Would you stake your life on the teachings of Tobit and First Clement? Well, then there's probably a little difference, right? Ultimately, between any of those texts. You still might have an error or more in one or the other. And some might argue you have that in variant readings and even the accepted biblical text, right? So again, I'm not saying we accept, as kind of just for convenience and because we do believe that the Protestant canon is the most legitimate, at least myself and other Christian Witnesses of Jah I know. Now, some, you don't have to only believe that. I'll probably even amend the Christian Witnesses of Jah site on this part. And probably also add a part. I'll make this clear in a blog article. I probably will for sure. And will for sure, probably. I should amend that. I think I made it clear that we do respect books other than the Protestant New Testament canon and Old as reliable and worth examining to the extent they agree, right? I should put something in there that you can be a Christian Witness of Jah and believe. I kind of felt this would just be obvious, though. And I've said this before, right, that I believe First Clement is inspired, but I don't require people to believe that. But maybe I'll add it on there so there's no confusion. If you believe other books like Baruch or Sirach or First Clement are inspired, You can still be a Christian witness of Jah. You just can't require other people believe that. Now, you can convince them if they want, if they believe that, they believe that. But the most obvious and convenient place, and it's again more than I think any of us need, right? For our three things, we don't need anything more. You can believe in more if you want, and other people can too. But to go around requiring that you believe these books are also inspired, I don't see the advantage or why that would benefit us in any way. It would just create more division. So that's not part of our three things: God, Jesus, you, and me, right? And no one disputes that in terms of the text we have. And no other books are going to change those things that we would consider as similar to the accepted canons. So we're going to get into this a lot more. I think these guys have blown so many things. They make some good points, but it's all about their church, right? It's like with Watchtower. See, Catholics and Watchtower are very similar. I'm sure many of you have seen this. They're also very different, but all right. Good to see Joshua Ross, all these people, Cypher Gray. I don't know, see what. Okay, so Cypher Gray says, and don't let anyone call you teacher. You have only one teacher, the Messiah. Right. So what's wrong with that? Are you going around calling people teacher where it concerns things related to the Messiah? If so, why are you doing that? Let's take a look at Matthew 23:10. Let's just make sure, and then we'll get right to our text. I saw that question. I don't want to ignore it, but then I'm going to move on, right? Because we want to talk about these texts about God. Matthew 23:10, real quickly. Because I see some of our discussion has gotten people excited. I want to totally just blow you off. Bring you up real quick here, everybody. Matthew 23:10. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. Let's actually, go to the multi. I got to make it. Teacher, instructors. So you're assuming the meaning of the term kathegetes is a term equivalent to teacher in a way that you're using what? At like if you're at a high school or something or in a church today? You haven't shown that. You haven't proven that, Cypher. You're assuming. King James says masters. New American Standard says leaders. We could look up the term. We'll take a quick look just to see what Bible Hub's texts say. Leaders, masters. You're calling people that, huh, Cypher? Is that what we're to understand from you? Let's just see. I don't think you really thought that through, did you? You just sort of assumed. You're asking us to explain. Why don't you explain, Cypher Gray? You don't even seem to understand what the term is and why it's being used, and you want us to explain. Okay, how about no? You don't have to claim a religion to believe in someone. Just saying. Well, okay, so what? We all know that. So why are you saying it? To just say something really is not necessary, right? Do you have a point? Is something beneficial? If not, probably not good to mention it, right? Just saying mitigates against the value of your own statement, right? You're literally taking away from the importance of your own comment when you say that. You should not do that. I know it's kind of trendy, and it doesn't really make you look really good. Yes, we've already talked about that, Cypher Gray. John 14:26, the Comforter, who is the Holy Spirit, the Ghost, he will teach you. Hey, Cypher, who taught the Holy Spirit? How come you don't answer that? And I have videos about that. In these very same chapters of John 14, 15, 16, Jesus says, the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, hears from the Father, Cypher. How could God hear from someone else? He'd already know what to say, no Trinity. So you're being totally destroyed in everything you say, and you're just jumping around. And now you're here you go. You're saying we learn truth from our teacher. No, that's not what you said. You quoted the text and asked us to explain it, and you didn't comment at all about what the term for teacher meant. The text doesn't show how we know it's true. We know how it's true by verifying it according to the things that are said. We don't need other people to tell us what's true. Yeah, that's called listening to someone else, Cypher. Did you know that? Right, did you know that the Bereans, when they heard Paul, they actually verified what he said? How could they do that? I thought they were there to learn from him, Cypher. So how can we know unless someone teaches us? And yet they still verified what he said. How come? Isn't he supposed to tell them what to believe and they just believe it? Oh, they have to actually verify it because he could be lying, like the superfine apostles of Revelation 2 or Peter in Galatians 1 and 2? Exactly. Or like you right now. Why are you confrontational, you ask me? Because you're being pathetic and ridiculous and interrupting my live stream. Anyone but someone who's completely gone would know that. So, out of here. See you later. Thanks for nothing. I try to be a nice guy, right? And we get all these perverts running around, wasting their life and time, lying to everybody. It's perverted. Excuse me, it's perverted. And they're perverts. Do I have the Bible Hub up? Yeah, I do. Okay, good. Let me change that, bring you guys up. Let's get to our main subject, right? So let's talk about this whole God killing people. A little extended prologue there, but we had a lot of stuff to cover, and I want to pump you guys up. That's what we do here. No, we're not here to take it on the chin from a bunch of pagan perverts. We're following the dragon on so many ridiculous subjects and lying to everybody and abandoning debates with people, lying to everybody, getting mad at people and attacking their mothers because people don't follow you and your inappropriate pagan practice. Absolutely incredible. All right. So it's good stuff though. I'm pumped up. Let's do this. 1 Samuel 15. So I got this question, as I mentioned the other day. We're just going to read the whole chapter. Against my better judgment, I'll bring up the NIV. At least it's based on more modern text, like we saw the other day, right? King James is, for the most part, fine, but if you don't check it, you don't check some of these readings, you could be totally misled. So just do like the Bible says, right? Make sure of all things. Well, how are you going to do that, Cypher? How are you supposed to make sure of all things when you're just supposed to be letting people teach you what to do and believe? How are you going to make sure? Just by asking them, hey, what do I believe? Hey, what should I believe? Hey, tell me what to believe. Should I pray to Mary? Is that a good thing? Oh, okay. People will like me more and I can be a pervert and promote idols and angel worship. Oh, okay. I'll do it. I'm going to read this whole chapter, okay? Let's read this together. Or actually, let's go to Leviticus first. I forgot. My bad. Little prefatory material, okay? Leviticus 27. First, read this. I think this will help a lot of you who have questions about some of the events, like we're going to read, involving God commanding people, his people, to kill other people, men, women, children, nursing babies, animals, all of them. Whether you ultimately agree, however you come out on this issue or not, we'll talk about it from a broad perspective in a moment, but also deal specifically with the accounts. I need you to at least understand the history and the beliefs of the people involved in these accounts, okay? So those of you who get upset about the Bible's presentation of these types of things and presenting God as the killer of babies and all that stuff, and I mean to laugh, but why I laugh is I hope you're as against that happening today as you are all the way back during these times, right? You should be, if you're someone who is openly objecting to God's ordering the killing of babies and people in the Old Testament, what is the basis for that position, right? You think killing is wrong, pretty much. Okay, so then you should be against the killing of babies and other people in the exact same way, and whether it's God or not, right? You shouldn't be pro-killing on almost any level that I can see, because the reason these accounts happened are very clear. Now, if you say, well, Greg, I believe it's okay to kill someone if, there's you breaking a law, there's a that's going to fall right in line with what I'm going to show you is connected with the accounts people criticize. But that might change the discussion a little bit, your belief about punishment overall. So without knowing that, it's important for you to understand what these people believed about it, okay? You can't come to the Bible legitimately as an interpreter or someone against it or have a credible argument. You really can't. This isn't me pulling a Bowman. You can't come to the Bible unless you understand what it's teaching, right? And Bowman tried to say in our debate that I couldn't object to the Trinity while he's using it in our debate and in everything he's saying, right? I'm, of course, dealing with the issue that's the subject of our debate that relates directly to the Trinity, which, again, he's using in all of his arguments. It's absurd. It's what they do, though. It's like what Sam did to this JP Uncut guy earlier. Just totally ignored the fact that he was asking him for an example. Sam reads into that because he doesn't have the Holy Spirit, so he gets it all wrong. And he gets all upset and bothered, and he insults his mother. And then claims it's because he gets so passionate about people insulting Jesus' mother, when it's really him holding up an inappropriate image of Jesus' mother. And then when people say, no, that's inappropriate, he gets all upset. That's what we're dealing with. A bunch of babies. Bunch of pagan babies. Actually, they're men. And they're going to be punished like men. Men punished like men, right? In comparison to babies, not like the gods of Psalm 82. That's what made me think of it. So, Leviticus 27, 28 through 34. Listen to this so you understand the context of these other accounts, specifically 1 Samuel 15. We're going to read the whole chapter. But you have to understand this, okay? If you're going to comment or criticize or uphold the accounts we're going to read from 1 Samuel 15, this is very important. Leviticus 27, verse 28. But nothing that a person owns and devotes to the Lord, morally bankrupt representation of the divine name right there, this is the church history. This is the church of Sam, the church of William, the Catholic Church, the Eastern Orthodox Church, the pagan Protestant churches. This is their God. They've replaced the God of the Messiah with this. And it doesn't even reflect the earliest text we have. Use abbreviation up forward. So they're not even loyal to their own perverted copies, right? Surrogated copies, paganized copies. Nothing that a person owns and devotes to the Lord, whether a human being or an animal or family land, may be sold or redeemed. Everything so devoted is most holy to the Lord. Nothing devoted to the Lord may be sold or redeemed. Verse 29, no person devoted to destruction may be ransomed. They are to be put to death. Verse 30, a tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. Forget that. Ya'ol. It is holy to Ya'ol. Whoever would redeem any of their tithe must add a fifth of value to it. Verse 32, every tithe of the herd and flock, every 10th animal that passes under the shepherd's rod will be holy to Ya'ol. No one may pick out the good from the bad. Very important. Listen here. You're gonna see this play out. No one may pick out the good from the bad or make any substitution. If anyone does make a substitution, both the animal and its substitute become holy and cannot be redeemed. These are the commands of Ya'ol he gave to Moses at Mount Sinai for the Israelites. So anything devoted, person, animal, thing devoted to destruction could not be redeemed. You were not to look at it and try to pick out the good things or people from the bad or animals from the bad. Nothing. Now, with that in mind, let's go to 1 Samuel. Let me just make sure that we didn't get a double. Usually when there's one perv in the comments, we get more, but let's see. Cody says he perved out. He sure did. Czar totally perved out. Oh yeah, he went in full meltdown mode, full collapse. What can you do? Either way, it looks like it's stabilized. Appreciate any of you other Catholics out there who normalized. I realize it's not always easy to hear us go against your views in your church, but you guys pretty much condemn us and have for a long time. So we don't really care what you think anymore, unless you guys are going to stop lying about us and pretending we're heretics and condemned and denying us all these economic and political opportunities. Well, then there's nothing else we can do but defend against your attacks. Okay? And we know the dragon's not going to let us just peaceably worship one God the Father. That's why you guys always say, well, where were you guys? Well, we're under attack. We're just able to be more visible today because you guys can't hide us away like you used to. Like you did with the Bible for a long time, right? Unbelievable stuff. We're going to continue to expose them, everybody. They're perverts and lying to everybody. 1 Samuel 15, verse 1. Here we go. Samuel said to Saul, I am the one Yahweh sent to anoint you king over his people Israel. So listen now to the message from Yahweh. This is what Yahweh Almighty says. I will punish the Amalekites for what they did to Israel when they waylaid them as they came up from Egypt. Verse 3, now go, attack the Amalekites and totally destroy all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys. Verse 4, so Saul summoned the men and mustered them at Telaim, 200,000 foot soldiers and 10,000 from Judah. Saul went to the city of Amalek and set an ambush in the ravine. Then he said to the Kenites, go away, leave the Amalekites so I do not destroy you along with them. For you showed kindness to all the Israelites when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites moved away from the Amalekites. Verse 7, then Saul attacked the Amalekites all the way from Havilah to Shur, near the eastern border of Egypt. Verse 8, he took Agag, king of the Amalekites, alive, and all his people he totally destroyed with the sword. But Saul and the army spared Agag and the best of his sheep and cattle, the fat calves and lambs, everything that was good. These they were unwilling to destroy completely, but everything that was despised and weak, they totally destroyed. See? So we have clearly here Saul going against the law that we just read from Leviticus. This part wasn't a problem, right, with the Kenites, because unlike the Amalekites, remember everybody, this total destruction, why did it say this is happening in what we've read so far? It says, Yahweh says, I will punish the Amalekites for what they did to Israel when they waylaid them as they came up from Egypt. That term, we're going to talk more about. They did a lot of damage to the Israelites when they were coming, like as they were leaving Egypt and coming, they'd come through the Red Sea and they'd gotten the law, or they were at a point where they were at least getting to these periods and were attacked by the Amalekites from the rear. They were devastated pretty hard, as you're going to see. So this is before they actually get the law, but after they come up out of Egypt. And that's why in what we read from the law in Leviticus 27, it makes it very clear what you are to do. Well, we'll check the timing of when the Amalekites did this, because we're going to go to the account in just a second. So it's definitely before they get the law, though. It's after they're coming out of Egypt. So we'll take a look. I believe it's from Exodus 17. So right here, though, it says that the Amalekites attacked them first. So he's not just saying, go and destroy all these people, right? Go and kill all the men and the women and the children and the infants and all their animals. No. There's more here, but it's important to remember this is for a stated reason. It involved essentially the exact same thing he's doing to them here, but he is Yahweh. And the Amalekites did this in defiance of him. Whatever spirit, demon, son of God was overseeing the Amalekites, or King Agag himself, disobeyed Yahweh. Everyone knows Yahweh is coming. Oh yeah, all the spirits do. They just conquered Egypt and the gods of Egypt, wiped them out, and Pharaoh and his army. You don't think they know who these people are who are coming through and word is spreading? Oh yeah. You don't think the other demon princes know everything that's going on here? We just read the other day from Daniel, right, where they're all over the place with each other. So whatever the case, either human or demonic influence, the Amalekites not only disrespected, right, they literally attacked the weakened Israelites in a condition where they're still having doubts, as you're going to see in the account, right? You're going to see that they still are having doubts, and it's right after that they get attacked, right? And Moses and Yahweh are trying to keep these people together because they're stiff-necked. They don't believe very easily or even at all at times. But this is the consequence of sin. Either way, when it came to the Kenites, because they didn't do this like the Amalekites, it wasn't a problem when Saul let them go. What was a problem, though, is he took King Agag alive. And he also spared the best of his sheep and cattle and fat calves and lambs, everything that was good. We read from the law, you're not supposed to do that. It's to be devoted to destruction, whether it's good or bad. Verse 10, then the word of Yahweh came to Samuel, right after Saul destroyed the Amalekites, but kept Agag alive and kept all his good animals alive. The word of Yahweh came to Samuel. I regret I have made Saul king, because he's turned away from me and he has not carried out my instructions. Samuel was angry and he cried out to Yahweh all night. You know how I was angry at William and Sam and the pagan Catholic Church earlier because of their false doctrine, dragon theology, and persecution of the seed of the woman, while getting offended at our exposing your false doctrine and claiming we're being disrespectful and dishonoring Jesus' mother? You guys are out of line and your authority is dead. Good job convincing yourselves of something you don't have. You've actually done that pretty good so far. We'll see what you have left. Yeah, sometimes people get angry when others don't do what they're supposed to do. They don't follow what Yahweh says you're supposed to do, and you're going to get us all screwed because of it. Verse 12, early in the morning, Samuel got up. It's right here if you didn't see it. My apologies. Samuel got up and went to meet Saul, but he was told Saul had gone to Carmel. There he set up a monument in his own honor, and has turned and gone on down to Gilgal. When Samuel reached him, Saul said, Yahweh bless you. I've carried out Yahweh's instructions. I did what I was supposed to do. Yeah, no, we created a whole new metaphysic for God, and we're venerating Jesus' human mother. Isn't that great? No, that's not what you were told to do, okay? Verse 14, but Samuel said, what then is the bleating of sheep in my ears? What is this lowing of cattle that I hear? Verse 15, Saul answered, the soldiers brought them up from the Amalekites. They spared the best of the sheep and cattle to sacrifice to Yahweh, your God. But we totally destroyed the rest. Right, we're the Catholic Church. We've kept in existence one basic complete copy of the Bible, Sinaiticus, and, some other stuff we let get through. But we totally destroyed all the other copies. Yeah, that's not good. Verse 16, enough, Samuel said to Saul. Enough, you pagans. Stop lying to everybody about your abuse of the Bible, your abuse of God the Father, abuse of the Son, abuse of the Spirit, and abuse of Mary. Enough, Samuel said to Saul. Let me tell you what Yahweh said to me last night. You can't fool us with your paganism. We know you're listening to the dragon. We're not. So you can knock it off any time, you liars. Tell me, Saul replied. Verse 17, Samuel said, although you were once small in your own eyes, did you not become the head of the tribes of Israel? The Lord, see what it's done? See what reading NIV will do in these pagan translations? Yahweh anointed you king over Israel, and he sent you on a mission saying, go and completely destroy those wicked people, the Amalekites. Jesus said, you must pray this way. Go into a locked room, behind a closed door. Don't say the same thing over and over again. Don't do it in public like you always do. Are you not listening to what he says to do? Don't you see what's going to happen to you right here when you don't do that? You guys are insane. Yahweh anointed you king over Israel and sent you on a mission saying, go and completely destroy the people, the Amalekites. Wage war against them until you wipe them out. Why did you not obey Yahweh? Why did you pounce on the plunder and do evil in the eyes of Yahweh? Verse 20, but I did obey Yahweh, Saul said. I went on the mission Yahweh assigned me. I completely had destroyed the Amalekites, and I brought back Agag, their king. The soldiers took sheep and cattle from the plunder, the best of what was devoted to God, to sacrifice them to Yahweh, your God, at Gilgal. Oh, but praying to Mary and venerating Mary and the saints, it helps us honor God. It's always only done if it directs you to God. Yeah, we brought back all these things we weren't supposed to bring back to sacrifice them to God. Don't you guys ever read the Bible and apply it? Or are you all filled with paganism completely at this point? Right? I mean, it's like everywhere. Samuel replied, "Hey, pagans, listen. Does Yahweh delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying Yahweh or his son, which you think is Yahweh, so it doesn't make any difference to you? You must pray them this way. Don't say the same thing over and over again. Go behind a locked room, and don't do it publicly like the hypocrites, which is why you do it. To obey, you perverts, is better than your sacrifice. Just because you want to be celibate in total defiance of the text that doesn't even make that a requirement for overseers, obeying is better than your perverted sacrifice, okay? For rebellion is like the sin of divination. You guys are involved in divination. All of your disobedience to the Bible is divination right here. And arrogance like the evil of idolatry. You guys are gone, right? How you have one idol anywhere ever in your religious worship is incredible. And you have them all over the place, right? I mean, you guys think there are miracles, and you think Mary is actually descending from heaven and telling people things, right? You think everyone has to be a Catholic or you're not saved? You guys are gone. You're like Watchtower, gone. You're the original gone church, right? Original dragon church. Because you've rejected the word of Yahweh. He has rejected you as king. Just like Saul, so you. I'm talking about the perverts, the people who don't listen to Yahweh. Verse 24, then Saul said to Samuel, I have sinned. I violated Yahweh's command and your instructions. I was afraid of the men, and so I gave in to them. JP Uncut, you seem like a nice guy, and you totally caved into Sam. I understand that was the right move. But that's not the right move again. Okay? Now you need to apologize for not rebuking them and for following their false instructions, because they're violating the commands of Yahweh repeatedly all over the place. And Sam didn't even want to give you what you asked for, and he misrepresented it and abused you in front of everybody. I'm going to try to restore some dignity because I think you're a nice guy, and I think Sam totally took advantage of you because he's a pervert. Or who knows, maybe you were in league with him and that's all part of this next transition you guys have set up. I don't know. Anything's possible. You were Sam, okay? Following the dragon. I violated Yahweh's commands and your instructions. I was afraid of men, so I gave in to them. Jesus tells us not to do that. They all do that. That's what the people are doing today. Don't do that. Now I beg you, forgive my sin, come back with me. See, it's too late, you perverts. You already failed to listen, and you condemn people for doing things that they're not told to do. You're not even told to do, you just do them. And then you use it as an excuse to condemn other people who don't do them. Exactly, you're perverts and liars, and you don't follow the Bible. Verse 26, Samuel said to him, I will not go back with you. You have rejected the word of Yahweh, and Yahweh has rejected you as king over Israel. Verse 27, as Samuel turned to leave, Saul caught hold of the hem of his robe, and it tore. Verse 28, Samuel said to him, Yahweh has torn the kingdom of Israel from you today, and has given it to one of your neighbors, to one better than you. The same thing that happened to the Jews, and the same thing that has happened to the pagan Christians who follow the dragon. It's over. We have enough of the Bible now. We don't need any more of the Bible now. We'll take more of the Bible now or later, but we only needed 3 things, and we have those 3 things. And those 3 things would have been a part of the law of our heart, regardless of whether or not we have these things. and no thanks to you. That's a fact. All we got was paganized artifacts and worship of the dragon. He who is the glory of Israel does not lie or change his mind. He's not a human being that he should change his mind. You perverts who have told us that Jesus has a human mind and a divine mind are blasphemers. You are liars and you pervert the Bible for your own later dragon theology. Right here. God is not a human so that he should change his mind. Okay, so he doesn't have a human mind, you perverts. Therefore, you're blaspheming when you attach a human mind to God like you do, which also isn't even possible because you're saying there's two minds, when in fact, there can be only one. But not for you because you're defending the dragon. So you create ridiculousness. Things aren't taught in the Bible, right? Chalcedonian theology, right? 5th century stuff. Know all things, don't know all things. Human divine nature. No, there's no dual nature stuff. That's all lies and later dragon theology that you again use to beat people over the head with and call them heretics about, even though it's not taught explicitly in the Bible. Contradicts what's taught explicitly in the Bible. He became lower than the angels. Gods. He became a man. Last Adam man. So Samuel went back with Saul after he pleaded with him, and Saul worshipped Yahweh. Then Samuel said, "Bring me Agag, king of the Amalekites." Agag came to him in chains, and he thought, surely the bitterness of death is past. See, because of Saul's abuse of Yahweh's laws, he actually brought the king of the Amalekites here and had him thinking he was going to get out of this. When you see how angry Yahweh is, I think a lot of you are just looking at this from your own later perspective. And I guess you think only if you think someone's deserving of death, they do. But that's just proof you're not looking at the accounts in the text and considering them from another point of view, namely the very person you're criticizing. Agag came to him in chains. He thought, surely the bitterness of death is past. But Samuel said, as your sword, now listen here. In fact, I want, especially you people that think the God of the Bible is a murderer, killer of women and children without any justifiable cause. I want you to look at that, and I'll be right back. All right. Well, I hope you guys are having a good time, pumped up. All right. So you can see now we get a little more information on what it was that Agag and the Amalekites did to the Israelites when they were coming up out of Egypt, right? When it said earlier in this account that they waylaid the Israelites. That's how the NIV translate it. You can see Samuel says, we're talking to Agag, right? Because Agag, king of the Amalekites, he's not even supposed to be here. That's why Yahweh is so upset, because Saul doesn't listen. Samuel said, as your sword has made women childless, so will your mother be childless among women. And Samuel put Agag to death before Yahweh at Gilgal. Then Samuel left Ramah, but Saul went up to his home in Gibeah of Saul, until the day Samuel died. He did not go to see Saul again, though Samuel mourned for him. And Yahweh regretted that he made Saul king over Israel. So you can see that the Amalekites killed children. When the Amalekites attacked the Israelites from the rear, as they were coming up out of Egypt, they were attacking children, women, everyone whom Yahweh devoted to destruction. He gave them back exactly what they did to them. And let me share with you, let's go to Exodus. Let's take a look at another account. But it's important to remember here that waylaying mentioned earlier involved killing children, so that the women were childless among the Israelites. Remember, they're bringing the Israelites out of Egypt for the whole purpose of creating tribes and relationships and ultimately developed by the Messiah. Of course, Satan, the demons, the nations of the earth all try to stop that. But a lot of the fighting against these other nations and establishment of Israel and the people of the Israelites and their tribes and their families is, again, for this purpose of the Messiah. So this is a very big deal, right? That's why even they had to be taken into slavery, because the corruption at times directly through the influence of the dragon made it so that even the continuation of the development of families at certain times couldn't be allowed until there was enslavement, killing of many of them, because they were corrupt, just like Christians become if they don't continue to bear fruit in the Messiah, John 15. So he had to do that back here too, until he had everyone in the way they needed to be to ultimately have him born through Mary. So, but you can see it's very important. People often bring up 1 Samuel 15, the opening part. And even though it says there that the Israelites were attacked first, it goes on to specify that the children were killed by the Amalekites. It's not God just saying, I want you to go kill the children because I'm a mean person, No. That's why I said earlier, you have to, if you're going to make these evaluations and you're going to criticize, you really need to spend some time with these things historically and textually so that you understand the perspective of the people involved. What if your family was attacked by someone and part of your children, and some of your children were killed? And you had an opportunity at some point to exact vengeance. Well, again, as I said earlier, different people have different protocols for that. And of course, as Christians, it's different than back then, right? But back then, the law was eye for eye, tooth for tooth, right? So there were a lot of different laws, but that fundamentally was one they had in use. So why wouldn't that be in use? Why wouldn't he also follow that same thing when he's getting vengeance for his people that he's helping develop and that he just freed, and all of whom are sinning along with the Amalekites, right? I mean, you see here that Saul basically disobeys him, and look at what Yahweh does. He's not happy. Yahweh is not pleased with any of us doing this stuff. All this sin, it's a mercy that he's even allowing us to continue through to the point at all past Adam, and then to the point where all this happens, and then his son comes and gives us a basis for belief, so something else will happen. He could kill us anytime he wants, right? What does he owe us? Did we deserve? Why would, we're glad we have life, but this is a gift. And what, he's just required to let people keep living peacefully and without any retribution that openly not only defy him, but kill his people? He's the God of everything. And nothing that's human is supposed to be existing in the ways that it is. And then you're going to continue to defy him while he's trying to use part of the humans that are the Israelites. And you're still going to try to interfere with him doing that? Just go ahead and assume you're going to die. And you're going to probably die exactly the way you disobeyed him, which is exactly what happens right here, right? You attack the children of the people of God, the actual physical children, and you leave his recently freed people who are barely able to show faith while he's trying to get them strong. You bereave women of that people, of their children, and you think he's just going to call it a day? How about no way? How about there is no calling it a day ever? How about every single thing you or I or the Amalekites or the Israelites or Saul or Samuel does or do? Every single thing. He knows. There is no escape. Why would you think anything would be not known and justifiably accountable to him? Especially when you kill human children in a state where you're openly defying the purpose for which you are made, right? That's like going into a den of crocodiles and trying to steal their eggs, right? I mean, are you retarded? Some people are. So sometimes I just wonder, what exactly are you expecting God to do when these things happen in these accounts? Right? How about he's going to do exactly what he wants in a way that makes it very clear, you do that again, and then this is going to happen again. How do you think he gets Satan's attention at different times? Oh yeah, there's punishment. How do you think he got the attention of the angels that abused their authority before the flood? There's punishment. Oh yeah, you're not supposed to be doing things against the God of creation. You're not supposed to be running around killing his creation, right? Exactly what would make you think that would put you in any other place than in the worst possible? Exodus 17. Exodus 17, let's take a look at verses 8 through 16. The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, choose some. So this is the account of that was referred to in what we just read in 1 Samuel. The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites, right? This is when the Israelites, right after they started quarreling about water, right? And they start doubting whether or not the Yahweh was with them. So that's the timeline. And then it says during that, right after that, right? Right after they're like wondering, is the Yahweh even here? It's like the worst possible time for their psyche, right? They're already doubting. And now here come the Amalekites attacking and killing babies, women, men. The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands. So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. But whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side and one on the other, so that his hands remained steady until sunset. Now, a lot of Trinitarians and pagans like to say this is the sign of the cross, right? No, he's extending his hands on each side out toward them, you perverts. It doesn't say he's extending them out in the sign of a cross. He's facing toward the battle. So the most logical explanation is that they're holding his hands toward the battle, out like this. But even if it's to the sides, right? It's not time. You know how they are. Anything to justify a pagan emperor's misuse of the instrument of Jesus' death. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. Then Yahweh said to Moses, write this on a scroll. It's very important. Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered. And make sure that Joshua hears it. Because I will completely blot out the name of Amalek from under heaven. Moses built an altar and called it Yahweh is my banner. He said, because hands were lifted up against the throne of Yahweh. The Yahweh will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation. So this was a big deal. Attacking the Israelites as they're leaving Egypt, as they're weak and in the desert. And the Amalekites weren't supposed to do this, as you're going to see. They defied God. They didn't just attack them and kill them. It seems like there was some knowledge of not to do this. You're going to see. It's very clear, right? God has a personal issue with the Amalekites doing this. They killed babies, children, women, and men of the Israelites when they were just leaving Egypt. Okay, now let's take a look at Deuteronomy 25. We're almost done, everyone. Then we'll partake. We're done. Thank you for joining me. I will be back tomorrow. Live stream CW Jah Talk, a redo of one of our Christian evidences, pre-Christian evidences, Jesus is the biblical Messiah from Daniel 9. So I hope you'll join me. It'll be around the same time. Deuteronomy 25. Right, we're talking about right now, why does God sometimes order the killing of babies? I don't know why it keeps giving me that antivirus thing. I already uninstalled it. I think it's something, a lingering thing that's just hard to get out of there. I have my own, another web antivirus, but that one shows up. It's like, do you want to install? I've already installed it. I've already talked to him too. It's just something. Deuteronomy 25, 17. Okay, here again. Right, so we just read in Exodus how God wanted Moses to remember the Amalekites after they attacked them. Right after the issues with the waters at Meribah. And we read in 1 Samuel 15 how they killed children specifically. And so I'm sure, obviously, the parent wouldn't be just the children, right? They'd be with the parents. So that's why I say women, men, and children. But the children were singled out by Yahweh because that was very important. See, isn't it interesting? The people that use 1 Samuel 15 are usually so upset with Yahweh ordering the killing of children. That's why they criticize and don't believe him. When it's the reason he's killing those children is because the parents and the leaders of those children attacked his people in a vulnerable state and killed their children. And guess what? He's the God of everybody. And they shouldn't be here in the first place. They're only allowed to be here until he fulfills his promise, Genesis 3. So if he decides to totally destroy them after they attack him and kill his human children, yeah, I'm not seeing the kind of evil God so many people depict here, are you? Let's take a look at some additional information about this God. Deuteronomy 25, 17, remember what the Amalekites did to you along the way when you came out of Egypt, when you were weary and worn out. They met you on your journey and attacked you. All who were lagging behind. Think of that. Think of a caravan of people just got freed from an abusive nation that tried to kill you. You've seen miracles, you've seen all kinds of things, and now you're almost dying of thirst, so you don't know what to believe. Now, this army comes and attacks you and starts killing you, and you can barely walk because you're part of the stragglers in the back. Your children are almost helping you walk. And the Amalekites kill them too. Now, how would you really feel about that? You watch your family. You're maybe a little bit further ahead in the caravan of people, of Israelites, and you see these people, weary, worn out, lagging behind, get attacked. And you see part of your extended family get wiped out, just slain, cut down. The man goes down, the women go down, the children go down, and you're watching it all happen helplessly because you're also so tired and you didn't expect this to happen. You thought the God who just freed you was going to be with you. What's happening? See this last part right here? That's what's happening. It wasn't just the people or the attack on the Israelites. I'm going to prove that to you. Did you know it's not, even though I've been making it, and it has been all about the fact that they attacked them, right? I mean, I'm not saying that. Why did they attack them? That's what it's about. I'm going to prove that to you even more so in a second. But do you see that? That's who they attacked, in addition to the children, because of that. And that's why he goes on to say that, which is exactly what he does. They had no fear of God, meaning there was something they should have been afraid of that God instilled in these people that should have warded off the Amalekites so that he could get them to where he wanted without being attacked in this vulnerable condition where they're weary, worn out, lagging behind with the children. But the Amalekites didn't listen to the fear that he sent. Whatever God used to put fear in them, he expected to work on the Amalekites. They didn't respond to it. That's how wicked they are. You know, I'm going to prove that to you. I'm going to prove it to you not only by showing you how wicked they are, as I have, attacking the children, the weak, the weary, those lagging behind. I'm going to show you even more how we know they're wicked. And it's not just the fact that they attacked God's people, right? It's why they attacked him, why they attacked his people. Right here's a clue. They had no fear. There's more here. Let me show you. Deuteronomy 18. This is why. Right here. And it relates to that this is the cause of what you just read about, which got Yahweh so angry righteously to do the same thing to the Amalekites. This is why. Deuteronomy 8. Starting in verse 18. Okay, this is our last text. We're going to partake, okay? Thank you all for joining me. But listen, this is very important. But remember Yahweh your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms his covenant, which he swore to your ancestors as it is today. 19. If you ever forget Yahweh your God and follow other gods and worship and bow down to them, I testify against you this day that you will surely be destroyed. Like the nations the Lord destroyed before you, so you will be destroyed for not obeying Yahweh your God. See, there's no partiality here. It's not like he's showing the Israelites favor that is partial, right? No, we saw even Saul. He didn't listen and he was punished. If he wasn't the king, he probably would have been put to death. He was told explicitly what to do. And when Yahweh says to do something, that's what you do. He's the one who decides what's right and wrong. He's the one who decides that if the Amalekites don't listen to his fear, and they're that wicked, as I'm going to show you right now, and they attack his people's children and people while they're weak, weary, and lagging behind, yeah, that's for him to decide. Who are you, right? Who are we today to look back on these accounts and say, oh, yeah, what a mean, wicked, evil God there. How could he do that? Well, now, can you see how he would do that and why he would do that and why he probably should do that to all of us? But he doesn't because he's merciful to us. I don't think we'd be as merciful to people like us. But he is, and that should be something we're thankful for. Instead, we hold it against him like he owes us something, right? Not quite right. But we're not finished, though. This is why, right here. It's just a continuation of the last part we just read. Chapter 9, verse 1. Hear Israel, you are now about to cross the Jordan to go in and dispossess nations greater and stronger than you, with large cities that have walls high up to the sky. The people are strong and tall. Anakites. You know about them and have heard it said, who can stand up against the Anakites? It's not Amalekites explicitly, but it's the same applies as you're going to see. But be assured today that Yahweh your God is the one who goes across ahead of you like a devouring fire. As we know, he does this through the angel. He will destroy them. He will subdue them before you, and you will drive them out and annihilate them quickly as Yahweh has promised you. Listen, right here. After Yahweh your God has driven them out before you, do not say to yourself, Yahweh has brought me here to take possession of this land because of my righteousness. No. It is on account of the wickedness of these nations that Yahweh is going to drive them out before you. It is not because of your righteousness or your integrity that you are going to take possession of their land. It has nothing to do with the Israelites. They're sinners just like every other person in that land. They're just the people God chose to fulfill his prophecy to destroy the serpent in Genesis 3. And he chose the lowest people of the earth, the slaves of the Egyptians. That's Yahweh, see? He's going to take the lowest thing and raise it up to the highest. Just like he did with his son when he became a man, lower than, and died at the hands of us. It's not because of your righteousness or your integrity that you're going to take possession of the land. It's on account of the wickedness of these nations. Yahweh will drive them out before you to accomplish what he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Understand then that it is not because of your righteousness that Yahweh, your God, is giving you this good land to possess, because you're a stiff-necked people, right? He's not showing partiality or favor to anybody. He's accomplishing his will, and they're just as screwed as the Amalekites when they don't listen. And by screwed, I mean held accountable. In other words, you played the game, you lost. You're a sinner, but you chose to do it anyway. Jah will have mercy on you if you do things that indicate you're not wicked, but that's the point, isn't it, everybody? It's on account of the wickedness of these nations. Yeah, killing children, attacking people from behind who are worn out and weary, and whom God tried to make you fear not to, but you didn't listen. And you're a sinner anyway? Exactly. There's no reason for you to keep living. It's just a question of how he chooses to kill you. It's not because the Israelites were righteous. They were chosen by God and necessary to preserve, but it's because those nations are wicked. All of them. That these atheists and others who criticize the God of the Bible, they rarely ever even look at the history of these different nations. And we've seen just in the accounts in the Bible what a despicable nation Amalek was. Last two verses. Remember this and never forget how you aroused the anger of Yahweh your God in the wilderness. From the day you left Egypt until you arrived here, you have been rebellious against Yahweh. This is what he's using. This is what resulted from the events of the Garden of Eden after the flood, and he still got it done. At Horeb, you aroused Yahweh's wrath so that he was angry enough to destroy you. You know, I don't really see any problem at all with God doing whatever he wants with people who disobey the way he made us to be, or things he explicitly told us to do or not to do, and we don't listen to him. Exactly what is it that's giving you this standard to use in judgment of God? I'm not aware of anything outside of things that we believe are judgments from God, right? Writings like the Bible, or even if you don't believe in them, moralities and laws that are consistent with them. But where are you getting these laws that you would use to judge someone who's the God, presented as the God of these documents and people, and who simply brings back upon the very people who initiated warfare and death to babies, men, and women of his people in a vulnerable condition? Exactly what is it that we're supposed to use to say, how can you do that? How could you then go and order that all those people who just slaughtered part of your people for no reason, how could that God order that those people be wiped out? Well, it's real simple. They should have already been wiped out because they don't deserve to be here in their sinful, pathetic condition, which led them to kill babies. So right there, he could do it for that reason alone. But for them to then, in that pathetic state that he's allowing, attack his own people who are vulnerable and not fighting against them or even ready to do so, and their children, well, you're just giving that God the reason, not that he needed it, as I just said, to go ahead and exercise the punishment that he could have exercised at any point before then. Because no one deserves to be here in the first place at all. And certainly not the Amalekites. So let me just see if there's any follow-up to that specifically. I don't want to get off on too much more. What time are we? So we've been going for a little over 2 hours. Not too bad. That's why I went a little bit longer with the initial stuff on Sam and William and their paganism and their abuse of JP Uncut and how I felt bad for him. And I'm going to expose them further. And I think JP Uncut could have done more. Probably he wanted to. Just the sense I got, I don't really know him, but I can read people pretty well. I have the spirit too. So I can see when people are talking about my God, my Messiah, the Bible, and lying about it like William and Sam, and then getting mad about people like us who expose their abuse of Jesus' mother like they have some righteous standing. Get out of here. You guys have nothing but the dragon. And perverted representations of things that are genuine. But that's just like the nation of Israel, isn't it? Just like we saw with Saul. So the idea that you should be comfortable with your paganism is pretty pathetic. What else we got here? I want to see if there's anything significant before I wrap things up. Oh yeah, let's partake. Good job reminding me, Czar. Hopefully I would have remembered. Mellow 077. It is as simple as that. Boom. I agree with you. All right. So I think we've covered that, right? These are subjects that come up. Maybe we'll talk about it more when other texts come up, but I was specifically asked that question about 1 Samuel 15 in an email to the site, cwjah.org. And, I played my slavery video. That was part of the question as well. So hopefully the person was able to see that. If not, just type it in my channel, slavery, the Bible, come right up. We'll put this video up. It'll be up after this. And at least I'll try to put in some tag words too so people know, hey, we discussed, maybe I'll do a separate clip, smaller section of the discussion and link back to this so people know, hey, we've considered these tough accounts. No, we don't ignore these accounts. Yes, we see that they present moral difficulties or troubles for you to process for a holy, loving God. But when you actually understand what's happening and the people who are involved and what they did and were doing and what God is doing and the people he's using and has to deal with, right? I think it's exactly as it should be. He knows that he's God, right? He's got everything where it should be to manage us properly, to determine to the extent that those who know the Messiah or have had faith in him in olden times are able to do so. And those who have the law of their heart that is consistent with that are able to do so. And those who refuse to listen to him, like Saul and others, can show that's what they choose. And he can use his sons, the wicked one, the firstborn one, and give them the authority or take it away as is necessary during this period of judgment, all the way until the new heavens and new earth arrive. So Mello asked one last question here. He says, what would have happened to those children if Jehovah had spared them, but yet had killed their parents who were part of those wicked nations? That's a good point, right? I guess enslaved them, right? He would have had to have the Israelites take them on, but those are the children of the very nation who wouldn't even respond to the fear that he said when he condemned them, they didn't listen to. So he had to be generating, right, as the angel of Yahweh and leading the people. And we have records that show in the Bible and elsewhere that people were afraid of these Israelites and all the things they were doing, because Yahweh can manifest that fear wherever he needs to. But the Amalekites were so wicked, right? And the other thing too, I think, Mello, that's important is this is all basically Yahweh's choice to allow wickedness to propagate while he develops the right body for his son to redeem us all. So there can't be, that's why we have the law, right? That to keep impurities and to keep habits and practices from embedding themselves into the Israelite families and Davidic line, so that the Messiah has a human body he's born in that's more, consistent and conducive, more physically drawn to sin, right? No, he was given a purified body through the law and the refinements that both he and his father made while the nation of Israel was chosen as the group through which he would come. So when it came to things like obedience, if we tell you don't touch that ark and you touch it, you have to die. Because we can't have you living on with that trait of disobedience toward holy things and have your children develop that and make it more difficult for me to bring forth the body I'm going to inhabit, so I don't have to deal with those same difficulties. You see? That's, to me, it's so obvious what's going on and why they have chosen lines and lineages at all. What would be the point if it's not for making a body that's fit for these purposes? Well, if you start allowing people like Saul and the Amalekites to become a part of your ongoingly developed messianic lineage, what kind of body do you think that's going to develop? No, there's no playing around here, and he doesn't have to play around, right? We're already dead people walking, The Amalekites were sinners. The text explicitly called them sinners, right? And we saw why. They attacked children. They attacked the weak, the weary, the people at the rear when they should have been fearing God, right? This wasn't a declared war or anything like that. So he gave them right back what they deserved. And they didn't even deserve to be living at all. So he wiped them out completely. You shouldn't be here. You did something that's unacceptable. You're gone. We're not going to tolerate this, while we shouldn't be tolerating any of you at all. So it's all a gift. It's all mercy. Right? Of course. And they deserved it. It wasn't like it came out of nowhere and he's just like, hey, we're going to go just annihilate a bunch of people for no reason. Nope. So what would have happened, right? I mean, nothing good would. That's like the whole thing with David and Bathsheba. But there really is no good answer, because both David and Bathsheba should have been put to death, right? Because she belonged to another man. She wasn't a single woman. He took another man's wife. That's different. According to the law, they would have to die. But he's the king, and it's the same reason, right? Same reason. The reason why the child was killed instead was because of the Davidic line. So Yahweh is able to make these decisions with the Son, right? The Lord, Michael, the great prince, whether you believe it or not, still the one, David's Lord, angel of Yahweh, appointed to lead the Israelites and to defeat these nations who are attacking his people and promoting all kinds of wickedness in a world of wickedness, when God is bringing forth the means to remove sinfulness. So I don't see any moral argument that could stand up to the verified accounts in the Bible that show that this God is providing mercy to everyone. But if he decides that your actions have reached the point where he's going to punish you, whatever he chooses is a just way that I can see. Because again, we're all doing things against the way we were made. And these people that he's like annihilating, even more so were the case, like to an excessive degree that only when you read about like we did and reflect on it can you really appreciate. Because we don't see them today, right? We don't see this group of Amalekites running around acting like perverts and killing babies and attacking the weak and the lagging behind. So we're like, well, how could that happen? Well, because they were horribly wicked people. Remember what we read from Deuteronomy 8 through Deuteronomy 9:8? How it wasn't because the Israelites were righteous. It was because those nations that God didn't choose were wicked. More wicked than the Israelites, and they were a stiff-necked people that he continuously rebuked, right? It's just like with Noah and his family. Everyone else had to go. Well, it's just like, well, with the Israelites, he wasn't going to flood the whole earth again, right? He had to reset it because of how bad it got. And then even in resetting it, look how bad it got. So I don't see any moral argument that would hold weight and show that there's a hypocrisy or a contradiction with God, otherwise described in the Bible, who's allowing all of us to live and do these horrible things, regardless of what things we do that might be in line with how we were made. We're doing far more, and the Amalekites certainly did, than any good things we might do, far more bad and evil things that defy God, that defy what we're supposed to be doing. So it's just in these accounts where people really get annihilated, they were doing it even worse, or during a time where there was even less acceptance because of how significant the development of the proper lineage of the Messiah through the Israelites was. That's why all these things were more important. That's why the laws were enforced the way they were. Because the Messiah was making his own body. Him and his Father were making sure that through the proper lineage and relationships and tribes and families of people, when that body was made for him to inhabit, they would get the job done. And they did. Mellow 077, exactly. Perfect. I hope you all enjoy. Oh, we're going to partake. I get so pumped up. And sometimes we don't partake. We usually only partake in our Christian Witnesses of Jah live discussions. I mean, it's not like a rule. So like our Trinity Exposed live shows, we didn't partake on that. But, I'm kind of engaging in stuff like Trinity. And sometimes maybe it's just not the right subject or mentality. But I encourage you all to partake together whenever you come together. If it's something, it's not like a prayer where you can do anywhere. You kind of have to have the bread and the wine, But we thank God the Father for sending his Son and for the Son giving his life so that we might have life through our faith in him, and showing us how we can show our faith in him and proclaim his coming, not through a pagan Catholic church, but through our faith and demonstration of it in our actions and by partaking of the emblems he gave us. The unleavened bread for his body, his perfect, sinless, last Adam body, that God accepts. It doesn't have to be God. No, it's sinless. It's without blemish. It's a perfect lamb. Lower than, but greater than us. Lower than the angels, right? Perfect Adam. Last Adam. Perfect sacrifice. No Trinity. And the blood, which validates the covenant he made with us for a kingdom, would bring about God's will for the earth. And by doing so, we proclaim our faith in the one God of the Bible, Yahweh, Jah, the Father. We reject all other representations of the biblical one God, and we accept his Son, the firstborn one, from heaven, lived as a man, gave his life, perfect, without sin, and was raised to life again, and given all authority in heaven and on earth to bring about an end to this world and to rule over the next. We follow the golden rule because it keeps us from hypocrisy, right? And the hypocrite we saw earlier tax people's mothers because of his pathetic pagan view. He uses that to support his anger toward people who just don't accept his pagan view. These perverts will do anything to make themselves feel better about false doctrine and dragon theology. We're not having it. I'll be back tomorrow for no live show. I'll put up a notice. Till then, thank you all for joining me. And may Jah bless you. In Jesus' name.